Hey, how's it going? Welcome to the Vitalmoments podcast, a show where we wrap up Sunday morning conversations. And today I'm joined by Amy Stevenson, who's on the teaching team at Vitalpoint Church. How are you doing this morning?
Good. Yeah, it's been a good start to the Monday, I think. Yeah,
Oh, you
it's
got the
good.
biggest cup of coffee in the world right here. That guy is
Tea. I flipped to tea. I already
Oh,
did my coffee, so yeah, needed
okay.
to move on.
Oh,
But it's
that's
still chilly today, so
it is. It is chilly, but it's a good Monday morning.
yeah.
And I've got to say, it was a good Sunday morning as well with you teaching in our How to Win at Life series, looking at the fruit of the Spirit, which is Galatians chapter 5.
hmm
And you had the privilege of talking about love. No, sorry,
No.
joy, 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 joy. I love it. This is live. We are ending it out. You got
I
to
like
speak
it.
about joy. And it was awesome. It truly was. Like, we had the recording of your message in Exeter, and so did Clinton, and you taught live in Poplar Hill. And let me just tell you
hmm
this, in Exeter, we had like 3 people come up, and you've taught a few times now at Vital Point Church, and some really seasoned Christians came up and said, her spiritual gift is definitely teaching.
hmm
And it was amazing to see a community of people that know you, but not
hmm
fully know you, affirm
hmm
these things that we've been sensing behind the scenes. So your conversation around joy, not love, joy, was truly impactful. And it actually had people in the room crying in Exeter, which was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, there were definitely a few tears from me in teaching it. I held it together for your recording,
That's awesome.
a lot more than I did when it was live and I'm in front of people.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, you're not really wrong though in saying love either, because
Yes.
realistically, like when we go through all these things that Paul listed, all of them stem from that love, right?
Yes.
That my joy comes from the fact that I am loved by the Lord, and therefore it
Mhm.
enables me to love others and gives me that endurance to love others. So, like, even as we move through these things, all of them are
Mhm.
connected to that love
Connected to,
piece,
yeah.
right? Because it's not like, Ron even mentioned it the other day. Like, it's not like it's separate fruit. Like, these are like, oh, those are the grapes. Those are the, like, we maybe
Yeah.
we're taught in Sunday school if you grew up
Yeah.
in church. But rather, like, it's just, it's all one. And like,
Yeah.
it, I don't know, they all
It's
connect.
they do. And that's why it's called the
Yeah.
fruit of the spirit, right?
Yeah.
And Ron said in his first week of How to Win at Life is it is many slices of the one
Yes.
fruit.
Yes.
And this is something that, like, I really love about this is the question of how to win at life. I said this last week in the wrap up. How to win at
hmm
life, love, joy. Can you kind of explain the joy that you thought you were going to go a different direction, right? If I'm correct on this kind of conversation.
Um, not necessarily that I thought I was going in a different direction, but really just like talking about that joy that we have in Jesus. And like
Mhm.
obviously that's the key element. But the part that surprised me as I was meditating on it and thinking of it, and like actually it was during Ron's talk last week, yeah, on love, and setting the series up, that all of a sudden I was sort of hit with this moment of um even as Christians, as people who are, walking through this for a long time, and I started thinking about some of these people that, like, you don't see joy so much as a piece of their life anymore, and
Mm.
there just seems to be a lot more, like, complaining and grumbling and, um, just I described it in the talk as, like, arms crossed in judgment, and a judgmental
Yeah.
attitude, because we forget about the sin part, and, like, so in order for that us to walk in, feel and sense and understand that fullness of joy, we have to understand what we've been saved from, what we've been redeemed from, and what we are continuing, right? Like, because
Mhm.
it's not like instantly we become Jesus followers and like we just choose the right thing all the time now. No, we
Mhm.
are enabled by the Spirit inside of us to have that power over
Yeah.
sin, but we are in this ongoing process of sanctification. Like, just imagine if you chose to follow Jesus, all of a sudden he just came at you. Okay, here's the laundry list of things we need to get sorted out. No, he
Yeah.
doesn't do that, right? He's so patient with us. He's so
Yeah.
patient. And so, one at a time, he loves us and lovingly walks through us all these different things and aspects in our
Mhm.
life. So, I just don't think I have not yet met really a truly seasoned Christian who's like, yeah, I have it all together now. I'm
Yeah.
walking in the fullness of
Yeah.
everything right now. Like, I just maybe they're out there, but I kind of feel like you're probably deceiving ourselves because we're just in this
Mhm.
ongoing process of sanctification as we move through life. And if we forget that, if we lose sight of that and stop looking and hearing from the Spirit in that formation of making us more and more like Jesus, if we just stop opening those moments up, I think
Mhm.
that's when we actually lose our joy because we
Wow.
forget of what we've been redeemed from, what we've been sanctified from,
Mhm.
and then serving others from that position of like, you can have this too.
Yeah.
And so even in hearing, so like I have joy because of what Jesus has done for me, and I get excited about that. Like even Ron yesterday, before service started, he came over to me. He's like, "How you doing? Like, are you in it?" Or however he described it,
Are
in
you
the
full of
pocket, or
joy?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just said, like, for me to be in it, I just want to communicate my love for Jesus and my love for his word at the end of the
Yeah.
day, whether that is from the stage, from a seat with someone, from my couch one on one, a coffee,
Mhm.
whatever stage or platform that is, whether it is with lights or with, a dim lit coffee shop. I just want to be able to share my love for Jesus and that passion. And so yeah, so when our joy, um because of what Jesus has done and sanctified and is the ongoing process and just relying fully on that mercy and grace of Jesus, that joy is just something that no circumstance can take away. And it's a position then that we serve others from. And I wish because I wanted actually to talk a lot more about, um so many times actually if you look throughout Paul's letters, like, our joy is made complete. He makes this
Mhm.
reference over and over again of our joy being complete. And even Jesus said, I'm going to give you my joy
Yeah.
that you may have fullness of joy. And so it's not just like, oh, I have joy, this is awesome. But like
Mm.
yesterday, being able to communicate my love and my joy for Jesus and what he has done for my life, what I've seen him do, was awesome. But the fullness came from hearing people that were like, I needed that reminder, or I've lost that joy and I found it again, or
Mhm.
whatever. Like I got a few text messages, got a few people come up to me and hearing from our friends and the other sites and stuff like that. So, and it's not about me, but about like, once again, inspiring people to love God
Yeah.
again, but bring glory to his name. And so then our joy is made complete when we hear that as we're
Mhm.
moving and walking in this servant attitude and heart, that
Mhm.
it's being received by people and it's changing hearts and lives, and not because of me, just because of
Yeah.
the gift that he just so happens sovereignly chooses to use me to communicate that. So
You
I
put
hope
it
I
so
answered your question.
you put it so beautifully, and like I said, the spiritual gift of teaching. But what's amazing about this is, and you had this really cool flyby moment in the beginning of your message, and it ties so well with the how to win at life. Because so many of us are asking the question, how do I win at life? Maybe you're not
Mhm.
verbalizing it, but inside of you, there's this tension of just like, man, I just want to succeed. I want to win.
Yeah.
I don't want to be behind the eight ball anymore. Like I just want to get ahead in life. And you
Mhm.
said that the world offers a cheap version of joy,
Yeah.
and it's happiness,
Right.
where you're told, you know what, you should just be happy.
Right.
You know what?
But it actually puts us in a completely vulnerable space, right?
Mhm.
It puts us in this completely vulnerable position where we are so reliant on the stars to align
Yep,
or whatever, all
absolutely.
these circumstances in our lives. And so like it's viewed as freedom, but it's not.
Mhm.
Because now I'm just at the mercy of the people around me, of my
Mhm.
job, of the things that I find joy in.
Mhm. Let's kind of wrap it up with this. Share your heart for people that are listening to this, whether it's new to them or it's like, and you said reminder, but for many, for maybe for Christians that have been down this journey for a while, it's a foundational truth that our joy comes from
Mhm.
Jesus.
Yeah.
um, we often say it's a reminder, but truly it's actually a foundational truth that we need to stand on.
Mhm.
What would you share from your heart after this conversation of joy? What would you hope to see in people's lives as they continue to hopefully not just hear these things, but actually put them into practice?
Mhm. I think, and I'm saying this to myself too, but a lot more time actually just spent at the feet of Jesus. And I don't mean like, oh, we have a shrine or something in our house, but just literally sitting in
Yeah.
silence and reflection, reflecting
Mm,
on who he is to you, what are the testimonies that you have heard? And I didn't say this in the recording, and I wish I would have. It came out yesterday live that those that have these stories of joy carrying them through the hardest of circumstances, of joy when they, just encounter Jesus, and throughout your life, you're going to have so many of these encounters of like just where it's refreshed again, and you encounter him very in real way. So
Yeah.
I think just sitting in that silence and in that peace and having those conversations with
Mm,
people, like being bold to share about the joy that you have, and that's
mm,
contagious, right? And so I would say just spending more time in silence, letting him unpack some things, moving into that godly grief, but understanding, and do it in community, especially if you're new. Do it in community, be like, look, David,
yeah.
God has exposed this in me, and like I feel like I'm a failure, and then walking through that together, and then finding joy and
Yeah.
peace and salvation without regret on the other side. So I would say that, like, more of that practice, spiritual practice of just silence and reflection with the Holy Spirit.
Man, man. This is gold, Amy. And I'm truly grateful for your heart for people, your heart for scripture to be the view that we look at life, the biblical worldview,
Mm,
and you've done such a great job of laying out what it looks like to
mm,
receive the joy from Christ. And if you're listening to this and you didn't see the whole message, or you missed Sunday or anything like that, go back to our YouTube channel, watch this conversation that Amy has with us as a church. And what's beautiful about Vitalpoint Church and Amy's experienced this in her life is that you can come into this community of people where you've got lots of experience around church and faith,
mm,
or you've got very little, and all of a sudden, and it's not just happening at Vital Point Church, it's happening across many churches in Canada and
mhm,
North America, but people's lives are beginning to um, set a new flame, a new fire inside of them. And it's amazing to see God by his spirit work in people.
yeah,
I'm truly praying, Amy, that this conversation that we've had today and that you had yesterday would really help people align their hearts. And I would say their mind, body, heart, and soul with what God is doing and how he desires to be
mhm,
connected to them.
yeah,
And joy is a massive piece that he desires them to
mhm,
see, feel, sense, and know that it is him in their life.
mhm,
That's my hope for people today. And I just want
mhm.
to say thank you. So you crushed it this weekend, and it wasn't on love, but it was kind of on love. So maybe I was going somewhere with it.
It's always on love
It's
somewhere in
always
there.
love. It's always love. So yeah, thank you so much, everyone, for listening to this conversation. We love you, and we're praying for you that God would
Mhm.
continue to reveal Himself to you by His Spirit. So have a good one, everyone, and peace out.